What is up, guys? I'm Kyle at Fortune Off-Road. We're out here at a little playground, just taking the Samurai for a walk and, thinking about some things that we can improve on the Samurai. And one of those things is the articulation in the front axle. I keep coming up to situations where we're just not getting the flex that I think we could get. So I've got an idea. Oh.
There wasn't really a good place to test it out and make it flex, so I kept just climbing up these little berms here, trying to get that front axle to flex out, but nonetheless, it's always fun to get the Samurai out to play.
After getting back and reviewing the video, it doesn't really look like there's anything limiting the travel of the Samurai front springs except the springs themselves. Now, everybody knows that front Samurai springs are super weak, super inflexible, and basically just suck all around. But they're doing good so far, and what we're really trying to do is get more flex without doing a spring swap. I know that's the first thing everybody's thinking of. It's definitely something I've been thinking about too, but the problem with running different springs up front usually means that we're going to net a little bit of lift, which I don't want. We're also probably going to have to move the axle forward a little bit, which I don't want right now either, because that would force us to extend the drive shaft. Somehow we're already using a spacer on the transfer case side. The other way to do it would be to change our spring hanger to help relocate that axle back into the stock position. And these are all things I don't want to do, not yet. I want to keep it small and I want to keep it short. What we're going to do is go with some new shackles instead, and I think this is going to do the trick. So just by looking at these shackles, you can tell who made them. These are obviously Dr. Z fabrication. I mean, just look how thick these things are. They're 1/4 inch thick. They come with everything you need to include the hardware and the bushings already pressed in there. This is an awesome kit. So these are the missing link shackles for Suzuki Samurai springs, which means they're for springs that are 2 inches wide. One thing that I like about these so far is they have a built-in stop that will prevent the shackle from going inverted. And then another thing is they're not only for just Suzuki Samurai springs in the stock position. I think I can get these to work if I laying down horizontally and pair them with some Samurai rear leaf springs in the front, or rears up front as they call it. So it's really great to maybe get 2 uses out of this one suspension product on 2 different stages of this build. So pretty excited about it. All we need to do is get them cleaned up, throw some primer on them, get your paint of choice on them, then we're going to throw them on the Samurai.
So I'm using a high lift jack to lift up the front of the vehicle by the bumper there, and this is probably the shadiest way to do this. So if you're going to do it this way, make sure you never put yourself under the vehicle, because these high lift jacks can be a little bit unpredictable when they get at weird angles. And I would also recommend only doing one shackle at a time if you're going to do it this way. While you've got this thing apart, you might as well check out how everything's doing, make sure there's no metal rubbing on metal, and throw some more grease on all of your bushings just to keep things lubed up.
So we've got the shackles all the way extended here, and you can see they don't go inverted because there's that little piece of metal on the back there, little lip. That pinion angle actually doesn't look bad. I thought it was going to be way worse than that, and to me that's fine. I'm not worried about that one bit. Brake lines in this position are pretty close to being maxed out. Of course, we're not going to have the axle flex like this in the full droop. I'm not sure how much more room they've got to stretch out, but now that we've got them installed, I think it's time to go test her out again and see if it acts any different.
Once again, I don't really have the best place to test this out, but on this little berm here, you can see on the passenger side shackle, it starts to open up a little bit, and it's definitely doing its job. I did, however, find a better spot to test this thing out, and it was almost too good. I ended up playing on it for a while, and I almost flopped the Samurai like 3 times, so It was a lot of fun, and I definitely got a good look at how these shackles are performing and the increase in articulation that these shackles gave me.
One of the first things people want to know is it going to unload in this situation? If I'm going up an obstacle, are those links going to unload and make me roll back? It's all really hard to say, especially from my point of view, because I've never used them before. But one thing I do know is I definitely couldn't have done this. I would have definitely been leaning this way hard. And you know, I may still do that here when I come off it, but all I know is this has given me an opportunity to not flop just yet. And I can actually back off this when I see that my tire's too low and, you know, I'm possibly just gonna lay it on the side right here. So that's it for this video, guys. I'm pretty stoked about how this turned out. It was a super easy mod, and I can't wait to get this thing off-road and see how it's going to do. I do still have one thing that's limiting my travel, and on the passenger side, I think my drive shaft is either really close or contacting the cross member under the transfer case already, so I am going to need to extend that and look at getting a longer drive shaft. Now, the missing link shackles have tons of pros and cons, and everybody's pretty much on one side of the fence with this. Hopefully in a few trips from now, I'll have a better understanding on these shackles and how well they're going to work for my setup. Now, instead of that tire just hanging out in the air doing nothing, hopefully it will be on the ground and have a little bit of traction so it can help pull us forward. Plus, that shock's going to be extended, so hopefully when our center of gravity goes over that apex, instead of just having that rolling momentum, kind of wanting to flop over feeling, that tire will already be down on the ground, and it'll help that extended shock dampen us so we don't get that momentum. But there are a few things to watch out for. We definitely do not want to be twisting up our springs. If we start getting on obstacles and they start unloading and it does feel like it's a lot more tippy, we might go back. We've got these low range shackles that I got behind me. We've still got them. I'm going to be hanging on to them just in case we decide to swap them out. And another cool thing about these Dr. Z fabrication shackles is if you take out the missing link extension part, you just have a really short shackle, so it gives you more shackle to work with. If you want to see any of the parts or the tools I use, check out down there in the description. I'll have everything linked there. If you haven't gone to Dr. Z Fabrication's YouTube page yet, go check it out. I'll have a link for that as well. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.